Vandals slashed the tires of scores of vehicles in several St. James districts. School meals workers outline a number of concerns they want addressed. And in sports, Chris Gayle set to know his fate this weekend.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. Residents in several districts in St. James were unable to make it to work and school today as vandals targeted their vehicles, slashing their tires. Police say they received reports of damage from around 5:30 this morning.
It's June 17th, but it could well have been Black Friday for some residents of West Terrace, Durance Village and Hoyts Terrace in St. James. Around 50 car and van owners were the victims of vandals who slashed and punctured their vehicle tires.
Here we have a whole neighborhood inconvenience, can't go to work, they can't do anything.
We see this as a very vicious act. We recently formed a neighborhood association to try to prevent matters like these. We would really like some help as far as possible to see that these things come to an end, because they will only continue.
MP for St. James South, Donville Innes, expressed horror and disgust at the flagrant act.
These individuals are now affected in many ways, having to face the expense of having to change tires, the issue in relation to not being able to go to work, and the sheer feeling of insecurity, knowing that you're lying in your bed in the mornings and not knowing who's outside doing what to your property. Certainly in West Terrace Gardens alone, on about 6th Avenue, there are over 30 cars that have been so affected. In some instances, it is two tires that are slashed, in some instances, all 4 tires.
He was later joined by opposition leader and West Terrace resident Owen Arthur, who examined some of the damaged vehicles.
It is sad that they have become the victims of a maniac behavior. There's absolutely no purpose to this, and I feel like we should all come together and determine that we must take back our communities from people who want to involve themselves in this kind of vandalism. It almost equates to what we would call community terrorism, because this is intended to just drive terror into the hearts of people, and I hope that people are strong enough to raise above it.
Later this afternoon, Mr. Innes told CBC that some assistance was coming for residents. He says an arrangement has been made with the company All Terrain to get residents back on the road. Managing Director Mark Goddard, who lost 4 tires in the incident, has agreed to have the tires removed and inspected. He's also willing to repair those tires that could be restored. Mr. Goddard will also assist the vehicle owners who need new tires by offering discounts and arranging credit terms. Michelle Arthur, CBC News.
A 62-year-old man was shot to death at Kendall Plantation in St. John this morning. He's been identified as Gerald Wayne Nichols. The shooting apparently occurred around 3 this morning on the compound of the plantation. According to reports, Nichols apparently heard a noise outside and went to check and was shot. His body was found by his son. Workers at the School Meals Centre at Lancaster St. James are calling for better ventilation, an upgrade of facilities and a replacement of obsolete equipment. And this as they strive to feed thousands of school children. The workers outlined their concerns at an open day hosted by the department. Our Peter Thorne reports.
Workers at the School Meals Department at Lancaster St. James say they love their jobs because their work helps to develop thousands of Barbados children. They say that's why they rise early every morning to prepare meals from as early as 5 o'clock for primary schools throughout the length and breadth of Barbados. Janice Howell and Muriel Braffett were at Lancaster when it opened its doors back in 1976, and they haven't regretted working there for one day. But they want more fans installed to deal with the very hot conditions, the replacement of old equipment, and an upgrading of the department.
We are a very hard-working entity of the government department, and as such we are not recognized for the hard work that we the workers put in. It is not easy being on the road at 4:30 and 5 o'clock on mornings. The heat and the cold, the fans needs upgrading. The kitchen is very hot. It is not easy, but we know that we are working for the nation's children, and that is what we are here to do. And I hope and I pray that this work will continue in this department.
Another worker with 16 years experience Lorena Paris-Lord, says they work as a team whilst trying to deliver their best for Barbados.
The work rotates, right? You do one thing this week, next week you go to something else, the following week you go to something else. And the last thing you have to do before you get back to those steamers there to cook is to operate down here with the cleaning system.
Michael Willings, a driver for the past 2 years, says taking care of the staff and lunches on the roads is a major responsibility.
I must say I do enjoy it. Quite a bit of responsibility in terms of traveling on the road with lunches, but more so with the lives of young men in your hands. So you have to make sure you take utmost precaution and to be as careful as possible as you drive on our narrow roads.
Industrial Relations Officer of the National Union of Public Workers, Wayne Warren, says the workers' concerns have been drawn to the attention of the School Meals Department and the Ministry of Education, and he believes they are receiving active consideration. There are nearly 300 school meals workers employed at several centers across the island. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
Government's foreign debt rating has not been downgraded. This is according to a statement released today by the Central Bank in Barbados in light of the recent ratings by Moody's Investors Service and Standard & Poor's. The statement from the Central Bank outlines Barbados's fact sheet on sovereign ratings. It says Barbados's international reserves are sufficient to service its foreign debt. Further, the proportion of the country's expected foreign exchange earnings needed to service the external debt remains below 10% for the next decade, which is well within internationally accepted norms for debt service. The central bank added that as a result, the rating on Barbados's foreign debt has not been changed for the year, since it is clear that Barbados has sufficient reserves to service its foreign debt. There's a suggestion tonight to teachers not to deprive children who scored less than 30% in this year's Common Entrance exam of the benefits of education. It's coming from Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Education Ronald Jones as he addressed this year's graduation ceremony at the Charles F. Broome School at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre.
It is not about really any child going to any particular school, because part of my vision and part of my view is that every child coming out of our education system at the primary level, unless there are substantial deficits in their learning, that our children should be scoring 50 and above. 50 and above. And I want to inch that up when we reach that stage to 55 and to 60. So that the issue of schools no longer make a difference to the school that you go to.
Principal of the school, Hortense Carrington, in her report disclosed that out of the 99 students who wrote the 11+, 85% received over 50% in mathematics, while 93.9% received 50% in English. Ms. Carrington said that, in addition, 53% of the 99 students achieved over 90% in maths. Students at the Milton Lynch Primary School have been told to start thinking of the new and exciting career opportunities that are now available. Minister of Family, Culture, Youth and Sports, Stephen Lashley, has pointed out that they live in a digital age and should explore their options. He's told the students in the school's graduating class that they could develop the next phase of Facebook, Twitter, or other social media.
I want you to recognize the potential in you developing video games and exporting them to other countries. In so doing, you will be tapping into the digital era, and you will be ensuring that you can be an entrepreneur in this fast-moving digital revolution. That's what it is. It is a fast-moving digital revolution. My only issue is that I want you to be at the apex.
Minister Lashley has also encouraged the boys of Milton Lynch Primary School to reduce the gender imbalance at the University of the West Indies. And Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Health wants primary school principals to become more creative and innovative. Senator Irene Sandiford Garner says head teachers need to start looking at teaching students about nationhood, independence and the island's heritage as soon as they enter school. Senator Sandiford Garner was the featured speaker at St. Matthew's Primary School graduation ceremony at Solidarity House.
I wish to see our 3 to 5-year-olds taught the meaning of nationhood through interaction with cultural workers and exponents in the classroom, and on tours around our island to see and learn about fishing, about agriculture, the sugar industry, so that when term 1 comes around every year and they sing folk songs such as sugarcane growing on my native land and the fisherman, these little tiny mites can have a sense of what sugarcane workers and fisher folk have contributed to the economic development and heritage of this island and to our high standard of living.
The St. Albans Primary School wants to establish itself as a beacon in the north of the island. That's according to Principal Angela Ramsey as she addressed parents, teachers and students during the graduation ceremony at the Garden Church of God in St. James. Class 4 students were presented with prizes for both academic and extracurricular activities. Parents were also recognized by students for their efforts in bringing them thus far. Ms. Ramsey says of the 44 students who took this year's Common Entrance examination, 26 gained entry into the older secondary schools.
Statistics indicate that we have aced the national mean in both mathematics and English. This is a feat worth mentioning because we have done it with both the females and the males. Our males will not be left behind.
This just in, police have charged a St. Michael man in connection with the recent attacks on children in the Cave Hill, St. Stephen's Hill and Husbands areas. He is Dario Terrell Foster, 22 years, of Eden Lodge. Foster is to appear in the District A Magistrate Court tomorrow, charged with 2 counts of buggery. Coming up, the Barbados Light and Power celebrates a century of operations. We'll talk live to the Managing Director. Government is looking to introduce a fund for the commercial sector and households to use renewable energy. This disclosure from Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Senator Darcy Boyce, at the launch of the Barbados Renewable Energy Association at Fontebelle.
Already we have begun making inquiries and doing some work towards the establishment of a much larger fund, which should be available for one fund for householders, another fund for the commercial community. That work has begun, and once we see the results of the pilot scheme, then we will move that along.
Senator Boyce says government is working with the Sanitation Service Authority to develop energy in various forms from the mangrove landfill, including mining methane dust. Officials at the Barbados Museum say the institution is well on its way to implementing its 2010-2013 strategic plan. Word of this from Director Alessandra Cummings. According to her, the museum is on track in this regard and says once completed, it will better help tell the story of Barbados and its citizens.
In furthering developing a world-class museum, the area of stewardship, that is, incorporating collections management, conservation and communication, as well as research and scholarship, will be substantially developed.
Her comments came during an exhibition entitled The Centenary of Electricity in Barbados, showcase at the museum. The director is pleased that some Barbadians approached the museum to have their artifacts displayed as part of the exhibition.
Recently, I had the pleasure of hearing from a potential donor who wanted to ensure that his Electrolux refrigerator, bought in 1958, would find its way into the museum's storerooms as part of our centenary of electricity. We were very proud that he recognized the importance of this role, that he saw the value of his input, and that he made the commitment to include his artifact.
And with the focus shifting to the Barbados Light and Power Company, which is celebrating 100 years in operation today, we're joined by the company's Managing Director, Peter Williams. Good evening, Peter. Thank you very much for joining us. And congratulations on 100 years. That's a long time, isn't it?
Certainly is. And we're very proud to have been part of the growth and development of Barbados over that long period of time. We have a dedicated group of employees. And today we had a ceremony, a commemoration event, and at that ceremony we rededicated ourselves to the service of Barbados and our customers, and really want to thank our customers for their support over the years. We recognize the challenges that we're facing today. I think we just heard the story of the news of the Alternative Energy Association, and certainly we very much look forward to being part of the future with new energy sources and developing ourselves in a way that moves us away from dependence on very expensive oil. So with the establishment of such an association, what role do you see the Light and Power playing in that? Well, energy is our business, and we know that I think that very much the future depends on us finding other ways to generate electricity. And as you would be aware, we have been striving to do that for a number of years and working with government and other agencies to develop the wind energy, biomass from the bagasse, sugarcane bagasse. And most recently we introduced the pilot interconnection rate, where customers can have and own their own solar and renewable energy systems and connect into the grid. And we would encourage more people to approach us so that they can find out more about that and interconnect with the grid. We have fewer than 10 customers at the moment, so we're looking for more to come forward and help us to develop a vibrant area. But it's a start, no doubt. Can you give us an update on how that is going? Certainly. I think the program is a pilot program for 2 years, and we're almost at the end of 1 year. We have had customers who have gone through all the procedures, as it were, of purchasing, installing, having the government electrical engineering inspect their systems, and they're now generating onto the grid. So that is a start, and that is something that certainly we would want to encourage. So that is one section of Barbados who have apparently heard the call to embrace more alternative energy. What about Barbadians in general? Have they been hearing your calls with the price of oil continually going up? Well, I think the systems are still very expensive, and I believe that you have to have very much an environmental and energy efficiency focus, and then you have to have the wherewithal, and we're looking at ways in which we can help to promote renewable energy, and so that would be something that would be developing. I think that over the next year we hope to have more people come forward and connect. Certainly everyday Barbadians, everyone has the opportunity to save, and I know that I get approached daily by customers who are saying that their electricity bills are high, and I certainly appreciate that. 60% of our costs of electricity, or more than 60%, is now in the cost of fuel. And therefore every Barbadian can save, conserve by changing habits, by just managing their usage better. And so we encourage that very much. But certainly we're very proud that we've reached this point of 100 years, and I feel privileged to be part of the company and be with the group that we have there. And certainly we have young people who are very bright and capable that will take us into the future. One of the major things that has happened for the Light and Power recently has been the buyover by Emera. How has that gone, that process, and are we likely to see any major changes at the company itself or in your operations as a result? Well, I think that the change has been, I think, a significant change. I would say that their interest was because we were a well-run utility and we benchmark as one of the best in the Caribbean. And therefore, I think it will be one where we will see further support and interest. Okay, Peter Williams, Managing Director at Barbados Light and Power. Again, congratulations on 100 years, and thank you very much for joining us. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, the courts quiz. In what year was the Department of Archives established in Barbados? For the break, we asked you, in what year was the Archives Department established in Barbados? The answer, 1964. High operational costs are creating more turbulence for regional air carrier Liat.
However, Liat's chairman, Gene Holder, says they will not burden regional governments by asking for more funding. He says the airline continues to face hurdles with the rising price of fuel and operations, and pointed to the airline's responsibility for connecting 20 Caribbean territories.
We have been involved with unions for 18 months in a discussion about cutting costs which we know operationally we need not have, but we cannot reach an agreement that we should shed those costs. So Liat finds itself in a box. We have high maintenance costs, we have these other costs that we are talking about, and therefore we have high fares. Now tell me who on earth wants high fares? I don't want high fares. Do you want high fares? No.
Speaking during a news conference at the airport this morning, Minister of International Business George Hudson reassured everyone that Liat has the support of the Barbados government. He said government is aware of the challenges but encouraged Liat to be more self-sufficient.
The support of the government in terms of underwriting any losses made by Liat in terms of subsidies and that sort of thing is really not something that we can do or easily do, and we need to. The board and management of Liat needs to be able to recognize that and to try to get Liat to be as self-sufficient as possible.
Meanwhile, RedJet will have to wait a little longer to receive clearance for its operation to Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago. A meeting in Port of Spain among Transport Ministers Jack Warner, Michael Henry and George Hudson discussed several issues. One of them was the airline's potential to efficiently service Latin America and the Caribbean.
Those points need to be developed. Like Barbados, they have negotiated a number of air service agreements with countries outside of the region, and so that is the sort of environment that you have in Jamaica, and is of particular concern to them.
The Transport Minister says the other issue which remains prevalent is that of security. Up ahead, the Lime Sports World, but before we get to that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Safer roads. These are roads that are predictable and forgiving of mistakes. They're self-explaining in that their design encourages safe travel speeds. This tip in association with the Decade of Action for Road Safety.
Seal with your Lime Sports World. Former West Indies captain Chris Gayle should know this weekend what he has to do in order to play for the West Indies again. The West Indies Cricket Board met today, and from this meeting, it has been proposed that the WICB management will write Gayle to outline the way forward. After a meeting on Tuesday between Gayle, the West Indies Players Association officials, and the WICB, Gayle reportedly sought an explanation as to why he was not picked for the ongoing Digicel series with India. The WICB team pointed out 4 reasons. That 1, the controversial comments made by Gayle in a radio interview in Jamaica had created much ill will with the team management, and unless there was a settling of differences, it would be difficult to see how the parties could harmoniously function. 2, that WICB management had to establish with him the necessity to respect rules and regulations. 3, that the selection committee would have to meet with him to discuss issues relating to the selection criteria. And 4, that the WICB Board of Directors would need to provide policy guidelines on how to handle players who, for reasons other than fitness or personal distress, make themselves unavailable for selection, but then expect to be selected whenever they deem it necessary to make themselves available. Well, it's known, though, that Gayle won't make the first test team on Monday. That's because there's only one change in the West Indies test squad for the first match of that Digicel series against India. Barbadian opener Craig Brathwaite misses out as Adrian Barath makes his return from injury. Shivnarine Shandapal will play conditionally. A WICB release this evening noted that the WICB management and the team management will meet with the middle order batsmen prior to the test following communications between those two sides over the past weeks. The WICB management and team management will outline to Shanda Paul the board's expectations of him in his future participation in the West Indies team as a player. So the full squad for that first test reads Darren Sammy captain, Brendan Nash the vice, Adrian Barath, Carlton Baugh, Devendra Bishu, Darren Bravo, Shivnarain Shanda Paul, Fidel Edwards, Ravi Rampal, Kimar Roach, Marlon Samuels, Ramnaresh Sarwan and Lendl Simmons. The first test bowls off on Monday at Sabina Park in Jamaica. The 12-member Barbados team to the World Netball Championships has been named. The official announcement was made this evening at the Barbados Olympic Association. The full team reads Kizzy Marville the captain, Latonia Blackman the vice, Laurel Brown, Lydia Bishop, Nikita Piggott, Samantha Brown, Sabrina Brown, Demisha Croning, Sabrina Smith, Lisa Puckrin, Faye Seeley and Shawnette Azor Bruce. The head coach, Alwyn Babb, says determining the final 12 was challenging.
This was a tough selection in terms of defense. We recognize that we have those two of the players are in the defensive area, and most of the competition for selection came in that area. And when looking at it in terms of discussion and what we want to see as a coaching staff, those players were not, for lack of a bit short, but the other players tend to be a bit better and give a bit more in terms of aggression or overall play. If you look at those names and you see the experience and the youth and the potential of what we have for the future, I think it's the best possible makeup with the understanding that if anything happens, we have good replacement.
The World Championships run from July 3rd to 10th in Singapore. The Barbados Amateur Basketball Association is weeding out the bad referees. In an email sent to teams today, President of the BABA, Derek Garrett, noted that just as players and coaches' bad behavior will not be tolerated, there will be no acceptance of unprofessional behavior by officials either. To this end, the BABA has set up a committee to monitor the standard of officiating and suggest measures to be taken to improve the standard, including any sanctions which should apply for unprofessional behavior by officials. The technical committee will also set a qualifying standard in order to officiate in BABA games, with the standard being higher for Premier League matches. However, the clubs are also being targeted by that committee. There will be a referees clinic after the first round of the Premier League, and all clubs are mandated to send a representative to this clinic. At least one person per club will be trained in order to build up the dwindling numbers of officials. Otherwise, officials will not be sent to games by those clubs who don't comply. This rule will be enforced for the remainder of this season and all of next season. And staying with basketball, Act 2 Popcorn Clapham Bulls have regained the lead of that BABA Premier League. Last night at the Garfield Sobers Gym, Bulls defeated previous leaders, First Works Warriors, to move back to the top. Meanwhile, the defending champions, Impact Station Hill Cavaliers, suffered their 5th loss, going down to the Patriots. CBC's Marsha Boyce reports.
Top of the table clash between the Warriors in black and the Bulls. Warriors were leading the standings coming into the game, but a win for the Bulls would put them on top. Jeremy Gill would be the main man for Clapham with a game-high 15 points. At the other end, Corey McDonald showing off some skill as Warriors kept it close in the early stages. Kareem Farrell would be one of only 2 players in double figures for Warriors, the fake for 2 of his 10. The other was Nikolai Williams. He had 11. But those 2 wouldn't be any match for the Bulls on the night. Raheem Gibbons with the layup for 2 of his 12. Daniel Lovell also picked up 12 points in this game. So too did Sean Paris, here getting the rebound, the basket and the foul. The Bulls led all quarters before closing out this low-scoring encounter, 67-56. That's their 7th victory of the season. The first game saw the defending champions, the Cavaliers, who were struggling somewhat, looking for a victory against the Patriots. Things did look promising at the start for Station Hill. Andrew Allen with the three-pointer, he had 12 points. Kevin Seeley would add 10 to the team total. They're getting the steal and going all the way for the basket. Corey Williams also chipped in with 12. The Cavs led 20-17 at the end of the first quarter. Patriots kept things close. A 4-2 advantage here leads to Anthony White getting 2 of his 18 points. Omari Corbin, no one to pass to, so he does the job himself. He finished with 10 points and 12 rebounds. Patriots trailed 37-35 at halftime. Julian Walcott made his presence felt in the second half. He scored 15 points for Patriots. But leading their charge was Stevenson Callender. He would end with a game-high 27 points. The Cavs looked a bit flat from here on. Only Marlon Bascom showed any real resistance. He scored a team-high 16. But after tying up the game at 60 apiece by the end of the third quarter, the Patriots would take the lead and hold on to hand the Cavaliers their 5th defeat of the season. Patriots coming away with a 3-point victory, 87-84. Marsha Boyce, CBC Sports.
We'll have schools basketball after the break. St. Leonard's Boys and Foundation will contest the final of this year's Co-Operators General Insurance Under-16 Schools Basketball Competition. In the semi-finals yesterday at the gym, St. Leonard's eliminated Leicester Vaughan, while Foundation crushed Ellerslie. CBC's Sean Green reports.
Ellerslie in the yellow got the ball rolling with the big guy, Deshaun Hunt. He was all over the place in the early stages, making this crucial pass, which resulted in 2 points. And though he had a good opening, Hunt may have made an error here when this pass was intercepted by Akeem Marshall. And once he had the ball, there was no stopping him. This was the beginning of trouble for Ellerslie. It was the Akeem Marshall show after that, and he drained them from far and sank them from close, right inside the paint. He was just too good for Ellerslie. But Hunt was still doing his thing at the other end, keeping his team afloat. He had 9 in the game. But despite that, Foundation led by 9 at the half. Marshall was just getting started, a perfect 2 off the glass. Then he took out these 3 for an easy 2. And if taking out 3 players was easy, then taking out 2 should be a breeze. Marshall went on to score a whopping 43 points as Foundation cruised into the finals, winning 63-21. This second game between St. Leonard's Boys and Leicester Vaughan in the green was a lot closer, but it was the all-boys school who took the early lead. Tristan Whitaker was one of the top go-to boys for St. Leonard's, sinking 11 points for his team. And at times when Leicester Vaughan found the going tough, a player like Brandon Hope was there to provide, well, some hope for his boys. He had 25 points. And after leading by 18 at halftime, St. Leonard's went on to win 59-45. Sean Green, CBC Sports.
Well, thanks, Sean. And the final between Foundation and St. Leonard's is set for Tuesday at the gym. Back to cricket, Community College are into the finals of the Under-19 Schools Cricket Competition. In that semi-final today at Messiah Street, BCC defeated Lodge by 119 runs. Scores BCC 223 in 38 overs. Kyle Mayers getting 100 off just 78 balls, including 3 fours and 10 sixes. The Lodge 104 in 21.3 overs. Rochelle Giddens taking 5 for 42. It was an exciting morning for the children of the Learning Center today, as members of the West Indies High Performance Center paid them a much-anticipated visit. The children thoroughly enjoyed themselves in the sun with the players, as teachers at the Learning Center and the batting coach of the HPC, Carl Hooper, looked on. The former West Indies captain says he was looking forward to this day and saw it as a great experience. He also hopes that his players would use the experience as an eye-opener and appreciate the opportunities they have.
I was looking forward to today. I suppose the development for a young man is not only about cricket, and I think hopefully a day like today will give them an opportunity to appreciate what a fantastic opportunity they've got, because we've met blokes here, little kids here who are in wheelchairs and some always got some other issues, and it's obviously like it's an eye-opener and it's there. But I just hope that they appreciate the opportunity that they've got to be able to run around and play and a chance to play for West Indies.
Members of the High Performance Center, Karan Katoy of St. Vincent and Barbadian Shamar Books, also said that they thoroughly enjoyed the day with the children and that there might even be the possibility of some hidden talent within the school.
I think today was a good day. At the end of the day, it was nice to get around the young ones and see what ability they have. At the end of the day, and I think all in all, it's good for cricket and it's good for Barbados at the end of the day. Yeah, I've seen a lot of young players here, some hitting the ball very far, some bowling pretty quick for the ages and the height. So I think it's good at the end of the day that we can get amongst the young ones. I know what cricket means to us in the Caribbean, so I think all in all is a plus.
No, I think it was a fun-full day, fruitful day. I enjoyed a lot of new things from the kids. It was very entertaining. There was this one guy especially, I can't remember his name, the boys. He was hitting the ball really hard and bowling really quick. Yeah, it was fun.
And that's it for sports. We're going to have the business report up next.
Businesses are being advised to have a third party assist with information technology in their companies. Managing Director of Customer Solutions at Lime, Ian Gauld, says while information technology departments are critical to improving a company's efficiency, an outside company is needed for extra support.
When you suffer downtime, when your systems are down, one way or another, you're suffering. And it's the lower cost of ownership. So whether it is through something as simple as email, whether it's security with firewall, whether it's desktop conferencing, doesn't matter what the niche is, whether it's traditional cloud computing with storage as a service, backup as a service, disaster recovery, processing power as a service, all of these things really boil down to doing two things. A third-party company doing it better and less expensive than you can do it yourself.
Mr. Gault was speaking during a managed services seminar at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre this morning, where Lime announced plans to offer cloud computing. The increase in the airline passenger duty, or APD, is likely to impact smaller islands in CARICOM more than the developed countries in the region. This assessment from Colin Piper, Director of the Dominica Tourism Authority. He says it's important for the Caribbean Tourism Organization to fight against a rise in the tax.
It is hampering Barbados and Jamaica and St. Lucia and Antigua, which we use as hubs. It definitely is hampering Dominica. So we may have a few people less who decide to travel to the Caribbean because of these taxes. And so we do recognize that these things are impacting us. They're impacting us adversely, and that's why we encourage and we support what CTO is doing in particular.
Well, Mr. Piper says countries will have to focus harder now on improving the tourism product.
And so this is where it's important for the tourism organization to partner with the private sector and make sure that we provide value-added services and offerings so that people who have to pay a little more in terms of taxes to come feel that they still are getting value for their money.
And here's a look now at how the stocks traded today. The leaders of Germany and France have said that they want a new rescue package for debt-laden Greece to be agreed as soon as possible. This after the country's prime minister announced a cabinet reshuffle.
Greece, a nation known for its ancient ruins, now there's growing concern the debt-ravaged country may itself be crumbling financially.
Greece is today on the verge of collapse, and there are lots of reasons to worry.
Friday, the Greek Prime Minister shook up his cabinet, an attempt to drum up support for more painful austerity measures. His plan includes more tax hikes and drastic cuts to public sector jobs. Demonstrators outraged by the proposed cuts clashed with police this week. The bottom line, Greece needs more money, billions of dollars.
It's just arithmetic, really. The level of debt in Greece is getting too high, and the amount of austerity and fiscal tightening that they've got to do, the spending cuts and so on, it's just not really realistic.
With Greece teetering on the edge of a financial meltdown, the leaders of France and Germany met in Berlin to talk about a rescue plan, agreeing more aid is necessary, but offering few details.
We have found a solution to involve the private sector on a voluntary basis.
The Greek economy may be relatively small, but if the country does default on its debts, experts say it will send shockwaves across the global economy.
And that's business for tonight. Up next, Carrie Ann O'Neill with the weather.
Good evening. After some early morning showers, the day turned out to be mostly sunny and windy. The maximum temperature was 32 degrees Celsius, the minimum temperature 26.5 degrees. At 6 o'clock, the temperature stood at 28.5 degrees Celsius, the relative humidity 81%, and the winds coming in from the east at 28 kilometers per hour. We take a look now at our satellite photo, where we have just one tropical wave to the east of Barbados. It's located at 53 degrees west, south of 11 degrees north. The system is moving towards the west-northwest. Showers associated with this system, they're expected to affect us late tomorrow. However, the axis is expected to move across our area come early Sunday morning. At that time, we can expect showers and isolated thunderstorms. We put the loop now in motion to see exactly what happened today, and the high-pressure system was the dominant feature, maintaining mostly sunny and windy conditions here in Barbados and certainly over the Leeward Islands. We received a few showers early this morning, the Met Office recording 0.4 millimeter of rainfall, but as for St. Vincent, they had 9.3 millimeters. The winds, they're averaging 15 to 20 knots at this time. The seas, they're moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We urge sea bathers and small craft operators to exercise caution at this time. Over now in the Western Caribbean, there is a tropical wave at 80 degrees west. It spread some showers over Jamaica. Meanwhile, a frontal system also generated partly cloudy skies along with some showers from time to time over the Bahamas. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tonight and tomorrow over the Western Caribbean, the tropical wave at 80 degrees west is expected to spread some showers over western Cuba. Elsewhere, can expect partly cloudy skies along with a few showers from time to time. But for us here in the Eastern Caribbean, that tropical wave at 53 degrees west is expected to spread showers and thunderstorms over Barbados and for most of the Eastern Caribbean late tomorrow. However, the axis is expected to move across the area come early Sunday, and these wet conditions that we're seeing here will remain with us throughout Sunday. We move now to the 4-day forecast. And come tomorrow, we're expecting some late showers and isolated thunderstorms on Sunday. Those wet conditions will remain with us, showers and thunderstorms. On Monday, some scattered showers, and on Tuesday, afternoon showers. The sun is expected to rise at 5:32 and set at 26 minutes after 6. The first high tide at a minute after 5 in the morning, the first low at 20 minutes before noon. The sea is moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. The winds coming in from the east to the east-northeast at 15 to 40 kilometers per hour. Barbados tonight will be partly cloudy to cloudy and windy with scattered showers. Come tomorrow, we can expect fair to partly cloudy skies and windy conditions at first, becoming increasingly cloudy with some showers. We leave you now with some forecast weather conditions.